Hello, fellow Minecrafters. Gearsaw Studios here. Today, I'm going to show you how to build a basic starter farm, because any respectable Minecraft player needs a farm so that way they don't starve in survival. However, before I begin, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So, with that, onto the tutorial. So, before we begin building, we need to select a palette for this. And I'd usually just, adapt whatever you have going on with your starter house because they're likely going to be close together. So I'm going to be using spruce, copper blocks, cobblestone, and its mossy variant. Then you need to find a decently sized area. It doesn't have to be flat, but it can't be mountainous. So you have to be a little careful about your area, but it's not too drastic. Then, depending on how many plots you want to have and how they're going to connect, you're going to have to measure the area. One plot is going to be 10 blocks, not including ladders to get up, and if you connect them up, then they can be reduced to 9. If it's a center plot, then just 8. So, once you do that, start outlining your area. And I'm going to build a 2x2 plot, so I'm going to have to measure around 16 to 18 blocks. So measure that out if you want to do 4 blocks, plots for each crop. So I've made a box where I want the farm to be. And we can see we need to just decorate the sides because they're pretty bland as is. So I've started right here, and whatever design you have going on over here, you can apply onto the farm. So, of course, it's an even number of blocks, unfortunately. You could turn it into an odd number so that way you have dividers, and that's actually a pretty good idea, so you might want to do that. But you want to have these accents going across, so that way it's just more pretty to look at. So, I've accented the outsides of the foundation in the same style as this house, and it looks really nice. So, what we want to do now is texture the foundation. And yes, it's going to be covered up by landscaping later, but if you look very closely, it actually does make a difference because you can see the little pieces of moss from the above, you can see little pieces of texturing, and although you might not think it's very useful, I think it's enough to warrant adding. So, in order to do it, start by adding moss blobs just around, and kind of like this, don't go too overboard. And then you can add some stairs like this to give the illusion of cracks going through the foundation. And like this, you can see I've created quite a nice thing going here. So, we texture it that way, and don't forget, you can use slabs too, and it might not be the best to use them on corners, but it's still a possibility. So, I've textured the foundation, and it looks nice and worn down. The next step for our farm is just adding a small amount of landscaping. Pretty simple, just add some bushes like this, and when you're done with the bush, texture it a little like this. And don't forget, you have to do pieces of the inside because fancy graphics allow you to see inside of the leaves, and you don't want the entirety of the inside to be bare, although that's a little bit more accurate to real life. So do that, and on one side place down a ladder so that way you can get into your farm. So we have a couple of bushes in, and due to the uneven terrain, it's not the best, but sometimes it's just worth taking a shot and seeing if it looks good. Now, with our ladder going into here, we need to start doing the inside, because we've been making just a very, very pretty foundation for nothing for now. So, of course, we need to fill the inside with dirt. So, place down a lot of dirt, or if you're in creative mode, just use slash fill like me. And, like this, go to the other side, and just fill it in with some nice dirt. Now, we have dirt inside here, and one thing to note is to light up the inside, because you don't want to just hear zombie noises while you're farming, because, that's just a little unnerving, because you don't know where they are. So, light up the interior, and go back onto the ceiling, and start placing down water. You want to have water relatively close to each other, so it needs to be 4 blocks away from everything else. So I'm not doing some good measuring, but like this. And you can do the underside with some good old cobblestone or mossy cobble. So like this. And don't forget, if you use torches down there, those might have washed away. So always double check when you're done. With that, do it for the 4 corners and divvy up the middle using spruce planks if you have an odd number of blocks. So I have successfully put in dirt and divided this up and found out I had a counting error. But even if you miscalculated your build so that way each plot is not 9 by 9, it's still okay. And sorry about the measurements in the beginning, but it's still pretty decent. Now what we want to do is till the entire place. And that's not the hardest, just a couple stone hoes will do the job quite easily. So go around tilling the place and plant your crops. If you don't have beetroot or another crop that you need yet, then just fill up the place with wheat, because you almost always have access to wheat, so no point not doing that. And if you want to go for some increased style points, get a lily pad, and you can just put these, and what that does is it makes it so you don't fall in. Although there's a high likelihood of you breaking it, you could also just use some nice stairs. So it's down to personal choice. I'm not going to be using this, so I guess I can use a little bit more beauty into this. So till the place and plant some things inside. So we now have nice plots of land, and what we need to do now is light them up, because otherwise you aren't going to have very good growing rates at night, and you aren't always going to sleep. So on the corners, just place down some lanterns, and on the cardinal directions too, except where you have your ladder, or else you're going to have a tough time getting in. Then you can further add lighting by adding torches on certain parts, or you can create a little lamppost at certain parts. There's a lot of things you can do, and it's one of the main parts you can get creative with. So experiment with different designs for lampposts, so that way you can light up your farm with maximum efficiency. With lighting, I'd call this nice farm done. It produces the food it has to, while also looking pretty. And, of course, the lighting ideas, you can use redstone lamps, you can have lanterns on cool stair things, and just some lanterns or torches at the edges will also suffice. So, a combination of these will work especially well. So, of course, get creative and see what works out for you. Because, of course, Minecraft is a creative game, so do whatever you think will work best. So, with that, it's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So, with that, take care, have a nice day. Gearsaw out.